Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Shalini Diwan Talk Show with Health Ki Baat. And the topic for today is hypertension and kidney diseases. Hypertension is a silent killer. It may be due to undiagnosed kidney problems. To take it further, we have with us Dr. Bhanu Mishra, who is a nephrologist at BLK Max Hospital. Welcome, Dr. Bhanu, to the show.
Good evening, Mrs. Shalini. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so we are talking about hypertension and kidney diseases. So what first we need to know is what is hypertension?
Okay. So understand hypertension, I'll have to give you an analogy in which we have to consider a heart as a pump and our kidneys as regulators and our blood vessels as pipes. So our heart acts like pump. It keeps on pumping at high pressures the fluid inside our blood veins, vessels, and the kidney is like a checkpoint which it regulates the kind of pressure that is needed in the vessels, because our kidneys get around 25% of the blood volume that our heart pumps every minute. So they become as a regulator of blood pressure. So it is the pressure exerted by the blood flow on the vessels which is called as hypertension. It is called blood pressure basically, and when the blood pressures are above a particular range for that particular person, it is called as hypertension. So this is the way to understand that it is the flow inside your vessels which goes at a higher speed because of the poor functioning of either the pump or the regulator. In most of the cases it is the regulator, which is the kidney. The improper balance of both causes hypertension. Now we have to understand about hypertension two things. One is the essential hypertension and the second is the secondary hypertension. Understood? So the essential hypertension is something which everybody gets after around 35 to 40 years of age, in which there is a family history of blood pressure. And secondary hypertension is usually suspected in two kinds of people in the extremes of age. One is when you get blood pressures in young people, like we spoke about diabetes in young last time. We have to understand hypertension in young people. So let's say if you have someone who has blood pressure around 20, 25, 30 years of age, or hypertension which came first time in the elderly people. So somebody very young, below 40, and somebody who is hypertensive for the first time after 60, 65 years of age is to be considered as secondary hypertension, and we have to find out reasons why the person is hypertensive. So there are many reasons for you to be hypertensive, and if you are in these groups, you should consult your physician and ask them, I am not in that group, I might be secondary hypertension. Because the importance of the secondary hypertension is, if we are able to find out the cause of your secondary hypertension, the reason why you are getting blood pressures, if we solve that, your blood pressure is curable only in secondary hypertension. But in primary hypertension is an incurable disease. We have to control it, but it does not get cured. So this is the basic difference between the two.
Okay, but who are the people who are at risk with hypertension?
Normally, the essential hypertension, which is very common, the people who are at risk most important is the family history. If your parents, your brothers, sisters, your in-laws, your maternal, paternal side people have hypertension, there's a good enough chance that you will also get it if your lifestyle and other factors are in the same range. Second thing, like we spoke about diabetes last time, obesity also becomes a very big risk for hypertension. Third is the sedentary lifestyle if you are following. Fourth is people who are very addicted to salt in their diet. So if you are a person who eats a lot of junk food, or maybe you like little salty things like pickles and things like that, then you might get hypertension in the early ages, and these are the risk factors for it. Secondary, the other thing that we have to understand.
Yeah, please.
No, please go ahead.
No, you were talking about salts, but salt is something which is very mandatory, with every food that we consume. So is there any alternative to the normal salt that we are taking? Because then, there are a lot of salts available in the market. So is it an alternative that we can shift to, probably a salt which is not too effective on the body?
Understood. This is a very appropriate question because a lot of people tend to ask this. You have to understand salt is essential for life, no doubt on that. But there is a limit to what your body can metabolize and throw out.
Yes.
So if you eat a lot, if you are not hypertensive, between 5 to 10 grams is fine. But if you are a hypertensive patient and you have other comorbidities like heart disease and kidney disease and so on, you are supposed to eat less than 5 grams per day. Now nobody is going to measure 5 grams every morning and eat it. So you have the gross thing that you need to understand is you have to take a teaspoon, fill it with salt, make it flat, and whatever comes into that remaining in the teaspoon is 5 grams. So that is actually very less. So you have to start putting salt only in your curries and maybe pulses, and stop putting salt in your salads, your curd, and other kind of things. So that will give us a lot of help. Second thing you have to understand, the other part of your question was to use secondary different kinds of salt. Now you have to understand the different kinds of salt, like we call low sodium salt or the rock salt or the Himalayan salt, are also salt only. They're not something which is not salt. They also have a lot of sodium in it. The only thing is they have little less than the normal salt, and they are replaced with potassium.
Okay.
Now if a person who has a normal kidneys and person who are not on specific drugs can take alternative salt, it might actually be little helpful when you have normal kidneys and normal potassium in your body.
Okay.
Higher potassium diet by eating fruits, juices, and green leafy vegetables might actually help you to bring down your blood pressure. But there's a big asterisk there. You have to understand that part. Before you shift to an alternative salt, make sure that you ask your physician, sir, if I eat extra potassium in my diet, will my kidneys be able to excrete based on the reports that I have, based on the drugs that I'm using? Because there are certain high-end blood pressure medicines, if given, they will cause high potassium, and if you eat extra potassium in your diet, you might have higher potassiums in your blood, and that can cause catastrophe like heart attacks. It can stop your heart. So it's a very dangerous thing to do. Before you shift to alternative salt, make sure that you ask a physician whether you can take it or not.
And I think, it's always said that, a little, you should have a little less salt in your food. So it's always nice to have a little less salt so that, a lot of problems are solved. What do you think about it? Because, normally they say if you keep a little less salt, it's always nice. And as you said, it is, that we should not be consuming too much of junk food or too much of salty food, which might be an adverse effect on the body. So it's just, very simple.
The normal thing which I tell my patient that I tell my patient, which is little difficult for everybody to keep a count on the teaspoon or maybe the 5 gram thing. But the basic thumb rule is stop eating extra salt things like pickles and extra putting salts into curd and salad. People are having the habit of putting, kala namak on their fruits and things like that. Stop doing this. Second thing, stop putting salt in your rotis and your rice. You can only use it in your pulses and maybe vegetables. And the thumb rule is make sure that your food is little on the, less taste, in the sense थोड़ा फीका लगना चाहिए आपको. The line I tell them कि आपको खाने में थोड़ा फीका लगना चाहिए. यदि वो normal लग रहा है, मतलब salt ज़्यादा है. So this is a line that you can, promote.
That is perfect, So as simple as, the doctor said, let's keep a little salt less in our food to avoid a lot of problems that we can probably,
a little less salt and a little more life in your life.
Exactly. And as you say, it's a lifestyle disease. So it's a lifestyle that we need to manage. And, if we manage it with a lot of fruits, vegetables, and less of salt and a little more balanced diet, I think a lot of problems will be solved off. But doctor, tell us, how do we check this blood pressure at home? Because it's not always possible to go to the hospitals.
Yes, this is a very, very relevant question. Because even if you go to see the national and international guidelines, none of the guidelines are saying that you should go to the hospital to get the blood pressure checked. The blood pressure monitors, which are very openly marketed these days on all the pharmacies and open marketing sites like Amazon and Flipkart, have become the standard of care now. So what you need to do is to find a good blood pressure monitor. The blood pressure monitor that you have seen at your home, in which you press a button and it tells
Yes.
you a digital monitor, is called an oscillometry way of doing the blood pressure, and that is actually being called as the standard of care these days. But before you take blood pressure, there are certain things that you need to do. You cannot just walk in your room, dining or bedroom and just check your blood pressure and keep on reading. So you have to standardize the way you do it. It is very difficult for in a busy hospital like mine to follow all the rules because it's a busy OPD. What we can do at home is we have little time. So before you monitor your blood pressure, make sure that in the last half an hour to 45 minutes you have not taken any tea or coffee.
Okay.
Second thing, you have to make sure that you are sitting in a comfortable environment. It should not be too hot or too cold for at least 15 minutes. No smoking,
Okay.
of course, for the last 1 hour. And when you sit, make sure that you sit on a chair and table scenario. At home, it is most likely a study table or a dining table in which you sit on the table and keep your arm at the level of your heart. I will try to show that.
Okay.
It is because it is very, very important. So you have when you try a blood pressure cuff here, it should be at the level of your heart. So you keep the monitor on the table, you sit on the chair, and every time that you check, you have to make sure that you're doing it in the same position. So that is called standardization. Before you go ahead, there are two more things that you need to see. Make sure that you're not wearing any clothes here. Make sure that there is no clothing below the blood pressure app. Second thing that you need to see is you have to pass urine and then come and check your blood pressure. Even if little bit of urine in the bladder and little bit of urgency can increase your blood pressure by 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury, and it will cause falsely high BPs. So it is better to pass urine, come, sit for 15-20 minutes, make sure that you're not taking tea, coffee or smoke in the last 1 hour, and then plan to do your blood pressure. Third thing that you need to make sure is that many people, including me, have the habit of crossing their legs and sitting while we sit. So when you cross legs, that also has a connotation on BP. So make sure that both the legs are resting on the ground and not crossed like this. You have passed urine, you're sitting on a dining table or a chair in a standardized manner. Make sure that your blood pressure monitor is of standard. Cross check it with aneroids, which are the most commonly used in hospital, and then you check your blood pressure. Otherwise, readings will always come faulty, and you will be all the time under pressure that my blood pressures are high, what do I need to do, and things like that.
No, this I think you said a very valid thing, because I remember some time back, this is a problem that we were facing when we were taking a blood pressure for my father. As you said, you have to be, 15 minutes before you need to be calm and, sit in a, comfortable position to take a blood pressure. So these are the few factors I think which are very important to take care of when
One last thing which I forgot to say.
Because it was fluctuating, we took it 2-3 times and it was fluctuating. But now we understood, because of the problems that you said, that we need to be a little more monitored when we are taking it to have a correct reading and, not get very hyper about it in case we go a little wrong.
Yes, and you should not talk also while you're taking your blood pressure, because when you talk, your moods get fluctuated. It's better not to talk while you're doing your blood pressure.
Perfect. So how reliable are these machines?
Most of them that are coming is ISO certified, and most of them are becoming reliable. What we usually, there are no specific brands I can quote here, but most of them have become reliable. The only way to check its reliability, because calibration needs to be done, is you check your blood pressure and check it with your other person who doesn't have it, and you consider them as normal, and you can check the same blood pressure in 3 different people. If the readings are all of them are high or one high, one low, then you're able to do it. The other thing is, before you start using at home, bring the machine to the hospital, make sure that the doctor has checked it with their standard ways, and then you check it with your machine as well. If both are coming, the fluctuations, you will know the 5 to 10 up and down, and that is you have to keep in mind.
Perfect. So you said, that now before we go further with the kidney diseases, can you just specify the diet which is very, what diet should be monitored or what diet should be taken when you have a blood pressure?
One is, we have extensively talked about salt in the diet, so that needs to go down, no doubt on that. Second thing, we have to, like I said last time, it is important to have different color diets. So if you have 5 different color in your diet, like you have salad, green leafy vegetables, curd, and fruits in your diet, it will help. Second thing is you have to have a little more potassium. Considering your kidney are working normally, and you're taking some pills which are not increasing your potassium in your blood, a little extra potassium in the form of maybe coconut water, eating green leafy vegetables, using those alternative salts that we were talking about, can actually help in bringing down blood pressure. The most important thing is, apart from diet, is also the physical exercise that you need to do. Make sure that you're at least taking 10,000 steps per day, and that will be the solution.
So any form of exercises, whether it is walking, yoga, gymming, any form of exercise is very important to have a healthy lifestyle, which we always, it's a thumb rule, for healthy lifestyle, it's always nice to have some form of exercise being your part of your routine. Exactly. Yes. But our pulses, any pulses or any of the pulses which are, should be avoided, or, we can take all the pulses?
To the best of my knowledge, no. You can eat pulses.
None of them that you specify.
Not much of role. The exercises that we were talking about, what we promote are the cardio exercises are more important than lifting any heavy weights or some other stuff. So 45 minutes of cardio 5 times a week is good.
Okay. So it's a general exercises which are very important. So as we say, is 45 minutes of exercise and a good diet which comprises of all your fruits, vegetables, and curd and a balanced diet. It will take care of everything, and a little salt, which is on a little lower side, right? So this is a very simple thing that if everybody follows, I think a lot of things are taken care of. So now, we were talking about hypertension and kidney diseases. Now, how is both of these things related to each other? Because we've all understood what hypertension is.
Yes, absolutely. So we need to understand I was talking about the secondary hypertension some time back. And what I meant by secondary hypertension is, it is, apart from being genetic, there are other reasons which, if you correct, the blood pressure can get better or maybe cured as well. So what is needed is, anybody who has hypertension, especially in younger ages or on the extremes of ages above 60, who are diagnosed to be hypertension first time, can actually be suffering from a kidney problem or the blood vessels related to kidney. So if you talk about elderly people around 60-65 year of age, and they are diagnosed with hypertension for the first time, let's say they were checking it regularly in their life and suddenly they are found to be hypertensive, they might be having stenosis in their renal arteries. By stenosis, I mean their renal arteries might become diameter may become less because of the atherosclerosis and because of the age process. And because of that, the blood flow to the kidneys are less, and that causes blood pressure. In the younger ages, there are so many kidney diseases which affects the renal parenchyma, the renal cortex, and that causes secondary hypertension. So whenever somebody suffering from hypertension, you have to make sure that you have seen the blood vessels of the kidney. You have make sure you have done a urine test, and make sure you have done a creatinine test and an ultrasound of the kidneys. These 3-4 things are mandatory at all ages, I would say, before you start treating somebody's hypertension.
Okay. So how are kidney diseases detected?
Based on the test that I just said, the urine routine, the creatinine, and an ultrasound. These 3 modalities, if you combine together, will catch most of the kidney diseases. And these are very commonly available, very cost-friendly tests.
So what are the guidelines to chronic kidney diseases and hypertension?
There are multiple guidelines on this, and based on the different types of kidney diseases, some are given by the standard boards like KDIGO and KDOQI. But for our normal people to understand, you have to make sure that a thumb rule of around 130/80 is what I want to tell people. Around 130, the systolic BP, and the 80 diastolic BP is what we call as standard. The more the blood pressure above 130, the more of the chance you have to have cardiovascular problems like stroke, heart problems, and kidney problems. So this is what we need to understand. Second thing, before somebody is diagnosed to have secondary hypertension, before somebody is diagnosed to have hypertension because once you are hypertensive and there are no other causes that we are able to find, you're going to be get started on a hypertensive pill and you'll be on life for it. So before you diagnose, there's a method called 24-hour ambulatory BP monitor. Now this
Okay.
has become slowly becoming the standard of care, in which the BPs are very much fluctuating. Like you said, in your father, the BP was very much fluctuating, and there are other
Yes.
people in the BP is fluctuating. They take the medicine, BP goes down to 100. They don't take it, BP goes down to 180, and so on. So these are called labile hypertension. So the 24-hour ambulatory BP monitor is just like a monitor in your arm. You keep it
Okay.
attached to your arm. It will monitor your BP while you're doing your normal activity, while you're sleeping, while you're running around for 24
Okay.
hours, and it gives you a graphic answer and what was the BP while you're awake, while you're sleeping, and the average of that
Okay.
is important.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
if your BPs are too much fluctuating, please consult your physician and ask for 24-hour ambulatory BP monitor.
Okay, but there's a very general thing, which people feel is that medicines, they take for blood pressure to control it. But does the body get used to these medicines? I mean, a lot of people say, okay, it is controlled now, I want to stop it. So should they carry on or should?
The very very pertinent question. What is there, especially that I have seen in our society, is a lot of people are very hesitant to start medicine. It is actually it you should. I'm not saying you should start medicine right away and take it continuously. A lot of people don't like it. But if you're a marginal case, your blood pressures are slightly high, and you have a lifestyle which you can improve, you can always try to improve your lifestyle and see for a 15-day or a 30-day period.
Okay.
Monitor your BPs regularly, check 24-hour ambulatory BP monitoring, and then decide. What usually happens is I've seen a lot of young people coming with kidney disease. They were told that 4 years back I had blood pressure problems, and they felt I was I have a blood which is this is a blood problem. My father's BP was also very high. Our family genetics, our blood pressures are high, and this happens very commonly. And after that, they have not checked their BPs, they have not taken medicines, and they end up with kidney problems. So what you need to do is, if you plan not to take medicines and you're a marginal patient like a 130, 40, 50 BP is there, it is better to monitor. And if your BPs are persistently above 140, 90, it is better to start on medicine. But one thing that you need to understand before you start medicines, do your blood test, meet your physician, ask them what medicines need to be started. Once you are on the medicines for blood pressure and you have decided in 15 days, 20 days, 30 days that your blood pressures are persistently high by monitoring them regularly, you have to take these medicines for life. Hypertension,
Okay.
once diagnosed, especially the essential hypertension, you have to continue for life. The pills, number of pills, the dose of the pills will go up and down based on your
Okay.
blood pressures and the doctor's advice, but you cannot stop them. You have to understand.
Yeah, so again, as you said, you don't need to stop them and then, again go through the whole cycle. It's just that they will be
Yes.
fluctuating in their doses. So
Yes, absolutely.
it's very mandatory to get it checked in between with your physician and then, take the pills as it prescribed, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, but
Yes,
there's a
absolutely.
rise in the incidences of obesity, diabetes, hypertension, chronic diseases, kidney diseases. So, what is the symptom? Why are these on the rise now? We've seen that a lot of people are facing these problems.
Yeah, this is like we spoke before, is because of the lifestyle changes that we are having. A lot of people, a lot of us are using the vehicles to move around. We are having a little sedentary lifestyle. The screen times are more for young people. Most of them are on laptops or maybe tabs and their mobiles. The outside play time, especially after the corona has come, even it has become like most of the kids are stuck at home. They're not going outside, and these screen times are very addictive, especially for younger people. And I have seen a lot of people of 40, 50, 60s also. Once they are getting hang of YouTube and WhatsApp, and they are not able, even they are getting addicted to this kind of stuff. So the screen time has to be less. Make your lifestyle better. 45 minutes of exercise 5 times a day, 5 times a week, sorry, is very, very important. So this is the reason why it is rising. Second is the dietary changes. A lot of us are ordering things online, outside food, junk food are getting into the market, into our plates. A lot of us are using these chips and lays, and a lot of other things are coming in.
Yes.
So those are the very, very common scenario. A lot of people are using this. So we have to change that mentality.
How right you are, because I mean, I would be saying, are becoming couch potatoes. You're sitting with your laptop, or you're sitting in front of your television or with your phone, and you're munching something. Again, if you munch something which is healthy, that is good enough. But if you're munching something which is a junk food, then it adds to the problems that are always there, or they're not there, but they might be on the verge of those problems which is there. So it's again, whether because of COVID we were stuck at home, as we said, but again we can monitor our life ourselves, because health is something that we need to take care of, and it's our own health. And it's totally, because everywhere we've been reading, we've been hearing that our lifestyle needs to be monitored. And if we cannot go out for a walk or for an exercise, do it at home. But please, it's important to take your exercises, your diet, and your lifestyle needs to be monitored. Right, doctor?
Absolutely. Yes, this is very, very important. Second thing that we need to understand about blood pressure is most of the time that like we know, and we have spoken this on many webinars and health camps, it is called as a silent killer. A lot of people will say, I have no symptoms. Why do I need to take a pill, or why do I check my blood pressure? I have no symptoms. So for this, the only answer I have is, when you routinely check your mopeds, when you routinely check your cars, routinely check your all the gadgets before they get a problem, it is better to please routinely check your own machinery as well. It is mandatory to check your blood pressures every now and then if possible, especially if you have a family member who's suffering from it. That is one aspect. Second is, in only 10 to 15% of people get symptoms of hypertension. The symptoms usually can be bleeding from your nose. The symptoms could be a headache which is on the back side of your head. So this becomes important. Second thing you need to understand is, many a times people directly come with complications of blood pressure. Like you might directly get stroke, you might directly get a heart issue, or you might directly get a kidney problem because of hypertension. So this is very, very important for you to know. 80-85% of the people will not have any symptoms at all. So this is not something you have a problem, then you go. It is mandatory to check at home, and if it is high, please consult your physician. So that is very, very important for us to understand.
So before we wrap up, it's one thing that I would like to say is, as the doctor said, prevention is better than cure. So just be a little more, just be a little more monitored about your lifestyle, be a little more monitored about your body, because as he said, please get it checked. It's no harm in checking your blood pressures. If you don't have it, nothing like it. But yes, if you do have it, then it's better that you just tackle it at the initial stages before you get into a lot of problems. So if there is anything more, we will leave the number of Dr. Bhanu here. Please contact with him, and he is always there to guide you out. So, doctor, before we end up,
I would like to yes.
Conversation.
Yes, I would like to say happy festive season to everyone. Happy Diwali to all. We'll meet post Diwali with a new topic. And one more thing that you need to do during the festive season, please make sure, see what you're eating and eat less, spread more happiness. That is more important. जीने के लिए खाइए, खाने के लिए मत जिए. ये बहुत important mantra है life के लिए. If your weight is on the lesser side, you will live longer and you'll do better.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining in with us, and we'll come up with a new topic. Till then, take care and keep blessed.